most of the funnels we launch don't just crush it. What normally happens, you build a funnel, you launch it, and it doesn't do that well. Most people are like, this funnel thing's a scam. It doesn't actually work. Before you open up ClickFunnels, you've got to do this first. This will change the way you build funnels forever.
You're listening to Marketing Secrets with your host, Russell Brunson.
Okay, so today I want to talk about Geru. So the first question is, what is Geru? How do we find it? Why did we buy it? And what in the world are we going to be doing with it? So this story actually dates back to almost 20 years ago. Some of you guys who have been around my world, you've heard me tell the story about the very first person I ever saw who broke the 4-minute mile in internet marketing, and it was John Reese.
Hey, it's John Reese, and I have an interesting question for you.
John Reese was the first person to make over $1 million in a day selling a course.
Was it less than 24 hours?
Yeah, it was like 18 hours.
In 18 hours, you make $1 million.
The course is called Traffic Secrets, and a decade and a half later, I bought the domain from him. I wrote a book called Traffic Secrets and all that whole story, but originally came back to John Reese. John Reese was the first real big internet marketing guru. And he was the first person to do these big numbers, these big things, and everyone was following him and studying him. And it's interesting because back then he had the best names for everything. He had Traffic Secrets. He happened to own Marketing Secrets, which weird. That's the name of this podcast now. Again, I bought Marketing Secrets from him. I bought Traffic Secrets from him. I bought basically every business he's ever created. I've given him money for it eventually. And shortly after we launched ClickFunnels, he created a really cool product called Geru. Geru is funnel simulation software. So you can say, if I was to build a funnel in ClickFunnels, what would it look like? Step number one, I'm gonna have a landing page. And then after they put their email address on page one, then they're gonna go to a sales page. And then if someone buys a product here, they're gonna go to an order form. And if they say yes, there's gonna be upsell one, and then a downsell, and then upsell two, and you can map out the entire funnel, what you want to look like, which is kind of cool, but there's a lot of software you can map out a funnel. You could just do it on a pad of paper or a whiteboard, like I typically traditionally do. If you ever watched any of my trainings, 99.9% of them, I'm on a whiteboard, mapping out a funnel, right? So that part's not difficult, but what Geru does, it's really, really cool, is after you map out the entire funnel, it gives you the ability to simulate, like, what would happen if we sent traffic, and what would happen if this page converted this rate and this rate. And so what you can do is on each page say, okay, let's say the landing page converts it 30%, right? So you set 30%. And let's say the sales page converts it 5%. And say upsell one converts it. And so you guess what you think the conversion rates are going to be. And then you can actually set up traffic, have traffic flow into this funnel and say, okay, I'm going to go on Facebook. And let's say on Facebook, it's going to cost me $3 a click or $1.50 a click or whatever you think it's going to be, right? And on YouTube, it's going to cost me this much. And so you build out like a simulation of what this funnel could possibly look like. And you can click a button and sit back and watch, and you see traffic going through it and you see the numbers popping out. And at the end of the day, you can see like, hey, if this funnel converts to what my guess was, I'm going to break even, or I'm going to lose money, or I'm going to be rich, right? And you can just play and you tweak around with it until you figure out what it needs to be for this funnel to actually be successful. And if you look at that, you can say, do I think that's going to be possible? And if it is, then you take that funnel map, that simulation, whatever it is, and you would go into ClickFunnels and then actually build it out, and you can launch it to the world. And what's cool is after you launch it to the world, you can actually look at what the stats and numbers look like, go back to funnel simulation software and plug it all in. Okay, this is what it actually cost me on Facebook, what it actually cost me on YouTube. This is what the landing page conversion actually was. And then you can see, like, based on if I keep driving traffic to this, I'm going to go broke, or I'm going to be rich, whatever that might be, right? And so that's kind of what Geru is. It's funnel simulation software. And it's a tool that I was using for a long, long time for myself. In fact, when we launched the Traffic Secrets book, the first upsell I wanted to be was an account to Geru. And it's kind of funny because I went to John Reese at the time. I said, hey, can we buy licenses from you and be able to put these in as the upsell? And John told me no. And I feel bad because, again, trafficsecrets.com was his domain name I bought from him, and it became the book. And it's because he wouldn't sell me licenses to Geru to give to all of you guys. We ended up finding another company. There's something similar. I don't think they did as good of a job, but they built a similar software, and that became the upsell. And fast forward, I don't know, a year or two later, John came back to me and said, okay, I'm ready to sell Geru. Do you want to buy it as well? And because I'd bought basically everything else he'd ever sold, I was like, should we do it? Should we not do it? And that brings us to the decision. Should we buy another company? We had just bought Magnetic Marketing. We had just bought Voomly. We were in debt, a lot of money, especially from buying Voomly. It was not cheap, as you guys, if you've listened to past podcast episodes, know. But there's one thing we got from the Voomly acquisition. If you guys listened to that episode, you remember the funnel I walked you guys through, what Brad Callen did different on that funnel that made that company blow up. Why was it doing $40 million a year? It's because of the way the funnel was structured. And as John came and offered us to purchase Geru from him, I looked at it, I said, this is a cool product, it's a cool brand, it's cool software, all these things. But I knew that the funnel wasn't structured correctly. Okay, this was the Rembrandt in the attic. Again, referencing a past episode. I knew that what I could do with Geru by just shifting the way the funnel was structured to modeling what we had done in Doodly and Toonly, that now this could become a front end where I could sell 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 copies of Geru a week. And then what's cool about that is on the back end, someone who buys funnel simulation software, guess what else they probably want? They probably want funnel software to actually build the funnel, right? And so there's a direct, immediate, like perfect match between Geru.com and ClickFunnels.com, which means we could use Geru as a complete break-even company. Some of you guys have heard me talk about break-even funnels before, but Geru, the goal is not to be a break-even funnel, it's to be a break-even company, an entire Geru company. If I can just get it where using this model, I can get, again, 500 to 1,000 brand new customers a day buying funnel simulation software. And then from there, if we get half those people or a third of those people to become ClickFunnels customers, that is the big secret. So the question then is like, well, what has happened with it? We bought the company, I think it's been 5 or 6 months now. And initial step one of the process was, again, keep things working. So like, keep traffic, keep things happening. But then there were like some improvements on software we want to make. So it was getting the dev team to make these improvements and some tweaks and some changes and things just to make the software a little bit better. And then the big one was to transition the funnel structure from what it was before into the model that Brad Callen had perfected with the Doodly and the Toonly funnels. And so that's what we've been working on for the last couple months. And I'm happy to announce, well, by the time you guys watch this, that funnel could and should be actually live. And so you have a chance, if you go to Geru.com, you have a chance to see it. I'd recommend go to Geru.com and then leave and then let the ads follow you around. And when they do, that's where you'll see the secret behind the scenes funnel. And so I'm excited to roll this out because I think it's going to become a really, really big front end for ClickFunnels. One of my goals, probably 2 or 3 years ago, I sat down with our team and I was like, I want to figure out how do we create more non-Russell based front ends? Like as great as that Russell wrote a book and Russell wrote another book and Russell has a webinar and Russell, like all these things, like it's tough because Russell is ClickFunnels and there's never any separation, right? Like if I get hit by a bus, what happens? Like ClickFunnels struggles because all of a sudden the face of it left, which is the big reason why we bought Dan Kennedy's company, right? Now, Dan Kennedy is a face for ClickFunnels. He's written like 40 books. We have 40 potential funnels coming in, all bringing people into magnetic marketing, which then brings people into ClickFunnels, right? Buying the Voomly business, right? Doodly, Toonly, those are all non-Russell based front ends. Geru is a non-Russell based front end. You'll see many more of these rolling out over the next year or two because my number one personal goal is to make it where Russell is one of the faces of ClickFunnels, not where I am the face of ClickFunnels. I'm excited now that you guys kind of know a little bit about it. First off, you guys go get the software, test it, play with it, see how it works, see what you like about it. And please let us know in the comments, like, oh, I wish I did this. I wish I did this. Like, let us know those things. We're looking for feedback as we're doing the new relaunch and rollout of it. But as a whole, the software is solid. It's powerful. Like I said, we've been using it now for a couple of years as customers, and I'm excited now to have a chance to bring it to you guys as an amazing product. As powerful it is for you as a marketer or as a team to be able to do funnel simulations, if you run an agency, that's one of the other real big powerful purposes, because when you're running agency, a lot of times you're going to a client and you're like, hey, we're going to build you a funnel. They're like, what's a funnel? And then you try to explain to them, then you build them a funnel, you give it to them, they're like, I don't know what this is. And then you launch it and then they're like, oh, I thought I was gonna be a billionaire, like I'm poor, and like they don't understand it, right? The most powerful thing you can do as an agency is to help your person understand. Like, so you map out, here's what the funnel is gonna look like. Now let me show you what happens. We're gonna put $100 a day into Facebook ads, right? And if this page converts at 1%, you show them the whole thing. Like if this is what it looks like, it means that you're not gonna get any leads. But if we get this to convert at 3% or 8%, right? If we get our ads cost here, whatever that thing might be, and you show them like, this is where you start getting profitable customers. Then we can go from $100 a day to $1,000 a day. And that's when your company blows up, right? But then you show them what it looks like before you ever give them an actual funnel. They have a chance to look at it and understand it. And then what happens is when you come back and you build them a funnel and you launch it and you're like, hey, we spent $100 and we broke even. Your client's not angry. They're like, oh, cool, that means we're at 3%, right? So what percentage are we gonna get you to make it more profitable? And then they understand the process. And so it's one of the most powerful agency tools in the world. In fact, I think upsell number 2 is like an agency account where you can like do that, where actually you can build out the funnel simulation and it doesn't even say Geru anywhere. Like you can brand it with yourself. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, Russell's funnel agency made this really cool software. Let me show you how the simulations you can show people, and like it makes you look like a rock star, even though we're doing all the work on the back end. And so there's so many cool things here, but it gives you the ability to really see exactly what's happening, and then from there be able to call your funnel audibles, right? I've done at Funnel Hacking Live now two different times I did presentations about funnel audibles, and it's funny because I've had multiple people afterwards ask me like, what is a funnel, like what is an audible? I didn't know what that was. So what an audible is in football, if a quarterback comes up to the line of scrimmage and they call the play, like this is what the play is going to be, and he sits there, looks out over, and all of a sudden he's like, oh my gosh, this play's not going to work because that guy's there and that guy's there. This is not going to work. He calls an audible. So the last second he's like, hey,
Ric Flair! Ric Flair!
Whatever the thing is, right? He says something different, and all the people hear that, they know that the play's changed. So instead of doing the play we were planning on, we're changing it to this play. That's what a funnel audible is, right? Most of the funnels we launch don't just crush it day number one. Some do, which that's amazing. But that's rare, few and far between. What normally happens is you build a funnel, you launch it, and it doesn't do that well, or it does okay, or it break evens, or it loses money. And most people are like, this funnel thing's a scam. Russell Brunson's a scam. It doesn't actually work. It reminds me of on Dumb and Dumber.
Huh. Expected the Rocky Mountains to be a little rockier than this.
That John Denver's full of man.
Because people try a funnel, it doesn't work, and they're like, that Russell Brunson's full of crap. That John Denver. Anyway, so that's what funnel audibles are about, knowing before you go into time that like most funnels don't work the first time, right? It's like we're trying to make our best possible educated guess, right? Based on, we do our funnel hacking, look at like what's working in the market, and we do our best stuff, and we write the best copy, create the best videos, we do our best shot, put it out there, and then we see what's gonna happen. And the majority of the time, it's not a huge home run. In fact, I remember when we first launched the Inner Circle way back in the day, and I was teaching everyone, do a webinar a week, do a webinar a week. So everyone was writing webinars, they launch them, and it was every night they'd message me on Vox, like, all right, my webinar's going live tomorrow, I got 500 people registered, I'm so excited. And I Vox them back, and I'm always like, hey, just so you know, really quick, it's probably gonna bomb. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you go into this with like your hopes this high and then it crushes, you're gonna be broken, and tomorrow you're gonna be voxing me and you're gonna be crying and you're gonna be miserable and you're gonna be angry, you're gonna want a refund. Like, just, it doesn't typically work the first time. At first, you're not gonna be that good. Your message is gonna be good. The like all the things aren't gonna be right? But you get it out there and the market tells you like, hey, this is great or this was not great. And then you can make the tweaks and the changes based on that, right? Hey, I only sold 3 things. I'm like, cool. But now we know what's wrong, right? Where do people drop off? What are they saying? What was happening in the comments? Like, did people like the offer? Did they not like the offer? Like all the things, like now we have data, then we can make some good decisions. And again, if you've been around my training, it's either the hook, the story, or the offer. What's the hook? Like what's wrong? One of these things, either hook, story, or offer is wrong on the landing page. We got to fix it, right? Or whatever the thing might be. And so Geru gives you the ability to do these funnel simulations very, very quickly. Anyway, I'm excited for it. Again, I think Geru is going to be a powerful tool for all my funnel hackers, which is one of the main reasons why I acquired it. I think it's going to be an amazing front end. So it'll bring people into ClickFunnels, but also help people who are ClickFunnels members and help serve them so they can be more successful. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. We tied in a lot of different principles from other episodes, right? The Rembrandt and the Attic. We tied in how we took the funnel structure from Doodly.com and we modeled it over here in Geru.com. Like my goal with this podcast is that we keep giving you guys these ideas and these strategies, but you start seeing how to kind of like link these things together. And hopefully it gives you a glimpse inside of my mind and the mind of those of us here at ClickFunnels who are building things to see like, oh, I see why Russell did that. I could do that in my business, right? I love this game. Hopefully you guys are enjoying following along with this as well. And with that said, if you enjoyed this episode, please, if you're watching on YouTube, comment down below, let us know. Again, features you want for Geru, any other questions you have about why we did this acquisition, how it's going to work. And on top of that, if you have any other questions you want me to answer on the podcast, if you go to marketingsecrets.com, there's a spot where you can actually ask your questions and your answers, and they may become a future podcast episode as well. So thank you guys so much for listening, and you should go get your account at Geru.com, Geru.com. All right, thanks everybody. Talk to you soon.